Welcome and good evening to all who are watching with us this evening. We are happy to bring you SMA International News. Our news will take us to different countries. The first country to visit will be the Republic of Benin in West Africa, the first territory confined to the SMA when founded. The celebration, the highlight of the year was the ordination of Roberto Carlos, who comes from Colombia. He is the first Colombian SMA and he's a member of the Spanish district. And he was ordained in Kalale Parish by the Bishop of Ndali.
It was amongst cheering crowds, a community in prayer and the presence of many confreres that Father Roberto Carlos was ordained. It is in the community of San Pierre of Kalale, which is celebrating its Silver Jubilee this year, that he wished to receive his priestly ministry by the laying on of hands of Bishop Martin Adjou MOUMOUNI, who expressed his joy at having ordained his first SMA priest. It was with great joy that I accepted the invitation to ordain an SMA priest. I tell you, this is the very first time. And therefore you can imagine with what care and enthusiasm I really wanted to give to this celebration. So I say thank you to the Lord, thanks to the SMA for giving me this opportunity. And I tell you, I said it on the occasion of the homily, in our midst there is a very little opportunity for ordination because there are very few vocations. So you gave me the opportunity to exercise my episcopate. I really say a big thank you to you. Among the confreres present was the Provincial of Spain, of which Father Roberto Carlos is a member, and also present was the Superior of the province of Benin, Niger, where the ordination took place. We have just celebrated this ordination of our confrere Roberto Carlos, and for each one of us it is a great joy after this journey, sometimes very long. And he says it was God who was looking for him, and he found him. And we can only give thanks to God. And besides, we want to say thanks to you, God, because Father Roberto Carlos found the SMA. And thanks to the Society of African Missions, he discovered this magnificent continent. And it is a joy for us that he can continue to work in the footsteps of our founder here in Africa. We can't give thanks enough for what God has done for us. The first SMA priest of Colombian origin was ordained in our province, here in Benin. It is a great thanksgiving. May there be other Colombian SMA priests after him. Father Roberto Carlos, the 30th of the SMA priests of this year. Thus comes to a close the cycle of ordinations this year. He is assigned to his priestly duties in the parish of Saint Pierre de Kalale.
One of the highlights of the year in Ireland was the celebration of the Golden Jubilee of the class of 1970. Due to the COVID pandemic, the celebrations could not take place as planned earlier, or indeed in the fashion that was customary for such celebrations. While safeguarding self and others, observing social distancing, it was possible to have smaller, more local celebrations to mark the years of service of the men of the class of 1970. 13 of the 16 are still alive and they participated in these celebrations.
In December 2020, the SMA Irish province had celebrations in all the SMA houses in Ireland for the Golden Jubilee of the ordination class of 1970.
On the 16th of December 1970, 16 members of the SMA Irish province were ordained priests in St Colman's Cathedral in Newry, County Down. By the autumn of 1971, these new priests were on the way to Africa to begin the missionary journeys.
It's extraordinary for me how my life unfolded as a priest in the SMA, going to Africa in 1971 to see places we had never seen, to learn languages we never knew, to meet people we didn't understand. So how that unfolded is the miracle really for me.
and their journeys led to their involvement in such ministries as teaching, pastoral work, church and SMA leadership and formation, the training of future priests in Africa and in Ireland.
I would consider way back in 1987 when we started up the formation program in Ibadan. We admitted Africans for the first time. I was involved there. That was a great time and a great time to be with the SMA. And at this stage, looking back, I can see many of former students who are now missionaries in Africa, and that's very satisfying.
I could say that the dream of the founder somehow was fulfilled a bit in our own lives, and certainly now is being fulfilled in that we have a future as SMA in the membership coming from Africa, Asia, India, Philippines, different countries in Europe still.
Today, we want to thank God for each one of them, for the blessings bestowed on them, and for all that He achieved in and through them. Our warmest congratulations to them all, and we remember those of that class who have since died, Dan O'Brien and Gerald O'Donoghue.
We travel now a little further west in Africa, and we arrive in the Republic of Côte d'Ivoire. Côte d'Ivoire was a mission given to the SMA 125 years ago. And so the members and the local churches there celebrated that event in 2020. The first missionaries, Father Alexandre Hamar and Father Émile Bonhomme, they went there with hope and expectation, and from the small seed it has grown to a marvellous project.
October 1895, October 2020. It is now 125 years since Fathers Alexandre Hamar and Émile Bonhomme arrived on the shores of the Côte d'Ivoire to start the work of evangelization. The Church of Côte d'Ivoire now celebrates the 125 years. The seed was sown by its pioneers, and so many men and women from various backgrounds have marked the path of this flourishing Church of Côte d'Ivoire. This is what Reverend Father Arthur KOLA said in his homily during the celebration organised by the province of Côte d'Ivoire on the 6th of December last. My thoughts go to your society, the African missions, which from a handful of men have now hundreds of priests, houses, parishes and social works. And my thoughts go to above all the Ivorian Church, born from your preaching of the good news of the gospel. I think of so many sons of God, of bishops, of priests, religious men and women, fruits of this missionary labour. A grateful memory goes to all the catechists who have been and still are an indispensable instrument for evangelization and the work of enculturation of the gospel. This Thanksgiving saw the participation of SMA confreres present in the province, OLA sisters, faithful from various parishes, and members of the SMA Friends, two of whom, Mr. Asef Koblekonen and Mrs. Yotamina Irma, were received as honorary members of the SMA, the very first time in the history of the province. It was a celebration of gaiety and joy.
So this brings us to the end of our presentation of international SMA news this evening. We invite you to join us again next month when we will bring you stories of other places and events. We assure you of our prayers, and we ask you to pray for us and for the work of mission.